So first you had currency get decentralized, then you had trading on exchanges get decentralized. Had this concept of NFTs, which are just unique assets that are stamped on the blockchain. So now you have this concept of licensing, ownership. Any unique asset is also now decentralized. So where this is heading in the macro picture is a fully decentralized economy, right? So for example, real estate, you could actually build a commercial real estate property. You could raise funds all on chain, all with cryptocurrencies, whether it's stable coin or it's Ethereum or whatever coin you choose. And then you can mint the percent ownership to those investors that are building this commercial real estate property.
Hello, it's Robert Kiyosaki, a very important program to you. With guys like Jeff Wang, I'm glad you're on this program, and the real estate guys are on this program, because we're at opposite ends of the spectrum on the big picture. When you look at what happened in 1971, it's been 50 years now, they started printing money. And what their intention was not real estate, it was stock market. And what happened is when they started printing money in 71, then they pushed to get gold become, so Jeff, when you guys are talking about Bitcoin, gold was illegal for Americans to own. So that happened in 1974 under this guy named Gerald Ford, Dopey. And then what happened between 61 and 81, nobody was buying stocks because of my generation, baby boom generation. Only people who invested in stocks were gamblers. Most people were in bonds. And so what happened is they had to find a way to incentivize people to get into stocks. And so what happened in 87 was that stock market crash, and was called the Greenspan put. So it's just on time. So what happened in 74, they started putting people into 401ks because they had to find a way to force the idiots to buy stocks. So meanwhile, real estate comes along because they can't figure out how to stop us from using debt, because the dollar became debt in 71. That's macro. And the only way they could get debt to make sense was to increase taxes. So that was in 1913. The Federal Reserve Bank was created, so was the IRS created. That's macro. So for there to be the dollar, there had to be taxes. But they never tell people that. And the reason that real estate is, in my opinion, the best investment is because if you're good at it, the banks will give you as much money as you want. And the IRS says, thank you very much. You don't have to pay taxes. So when you step back and you look at the big picture, so always remember this: quantitative easing started when Robert Helms, they always had quantitative easing, but when they started in 2008, it's literally printing money. What the Fed does, it buys U.S. Treasury debt. So the Fed and the Treasury. But it goes back to the basic, not real estate, it's not Bitcoin, it's not stocks or bonds. Question number one is, are you going to be a sheep? Just being told what to do. Buy Bitcoin, buy stocks, invest in the long-term in the 401k, which I would never touch. Never. Not because it's bad. It's just because I can get better deals. So we're entrepreneurs. So we're going to make more money. Then I have to buy more real estate. God damn it. Because if I don't buy real estate, I'm going to pay taxes. That's the macro picture. The concern is where Jeff Wang comes in, is if they shift to FedCoin, there's going to be a China coin. But when they go to FedCoin, then we go to hyperinflation. That's Gresham's law. When bad money enters the economy, good money goes into hiding. If they go to FedCoin, gold, silver, Bitcoin become more valuable. But until then, it'll go through its gyrations. So remember this: every time they print money, which is quantitative easing, which happened after 2008, 2009, there was a short burst of inflation. But the inflation only hit the investor class. It didn't help the working class. So today, what you hear is all these people speak about income inequality, but that goes to Rich Dad's rule number one: rich don't work for money. If you have a job, you're getting screwed left, up, one side, down the other. You can't get ahead. And if you're putting it in the stock market, The reason I don't like the 401k or the IRA is who tells you what you can invest in it? Wall Street. And so the reason Kim and I don't have stocks is not because they're bad investments. We can create better investments as entrepreneurs. And when we create better investments, then we call Kenny up and the real estate guys up. What you got? We need to borrow money so we don't have to pay taxes. And because, Jeff, we make so much money, Kim and I have millions of dollars of gold, silver, and Bitcoin. We don't save dollars. That's kind of the macro picture. And exactly as the real estate guy said, real estate is actually local. If you don't get the bigger picture here, what's going on, you better wake up. So it goes back to one question, the reason we support Rich Dad's World Video. The question is, do you want to be taught? Do you want to learn to be a capitalist? Or do you want to be a sheep? I'm just told what to do and chase the latest fad and try and get rich quick. So if you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's macro. It's not micro. Thank you.
And to that point, I know Russell talked about the importance of mentors. And that's why Jeff is here and Robert and Russell are here, because they're mentors. And I just wanted to ask Jeff, because we do have Rich Dad Company has joined forces with Jeff, and we have a cryptocurrency newsletter. So Jeff, given what's going on in the world, what because the information in your newsletter is fantastic. What do people not know, or what do they need to know like some key things that they need to know about crypto that they may not know or make assumptions about?
I think number one, just because it's a very complicated subject, because crypto is kind of the intersection between technology and macroeconomics. First thing to know is that crypto is decentralized. So it is independent of governments, countries, borders. It's based on a set of rules, because all the people that are mining or supporting the infrastructure behind crypto or Bitcoin or Ethereum, there's a set of rules that they have to follow, whether it's inflation, whether it's voting policy, whether it's how you deploy applications on the networks.
They want to centralize control everything. So the reason I support Bitcoin and especially blockchain is it's decentralized. It's people's money. Gold and silver are God's money.
Let me actually build up to this with how this actually could relate with real estate. This is all technology, so I hope I'll try to be as simplistic as possible. But over time, especially last year, the capability of trading between different assets on chain, on the blockchain itself, emerged. So there was actually volume greater than centralized exchanges. So first you had currency get decentralized, then you had trading on exchanges get decentralized. Had this concept of NFTs, which are just unique assets that are stamped on the blockchain. So now you have this concept of licensing, ownership. Any unique asset is also now decentralized. So where this is heading in the macro picture is a fully decentralized economy, right? So for example, real estate, you could actually build a commercial real estate property. You could raise funds all on chain, all with cryptocurrencies, whether it's a stable coin or it's Ethereum or whatever coin you choose. And then you can mint the percent ownership to those investors that are building this commercial real estate property. And then the people that live in the property can take cryptocurrencies as rent. And then that is all, and this is where it gets complicated. There's a set of rules on this smart contract where the money that gets paid to the property actually gets funneled to the percent ownership of the people who have the NFTs. And now the NFTs can also be traded. So this is all decentralized, right? This is where we're headed in the next decade, which is a complete economy, a complete ecosystem that is independent of any bank or government or even currency. It's all completely contained. So that's what I want to say is where we're going. And then right now we're just seeing the infrastructure and the different pieces in place coming up. I always mention a lot of stuff in the newsletter, which are promising, which actually have a lot of users, which actually have adoption. That's where I think people should be looking at now to see where things are going in the future.
And so that's why I started this whole thing, is that if you go to GovCoin or the FedCoin, it's actually good news for everybody, but they're coming after us. Then there will be hyperinflation like we've never seen before, because when there is a GovCoin, they're going to bypass the bank system. So the reason Kim and I make so much money is because we can go to guys like Robert Helms or the real estate guys, or we can get as much debt as we can. See, money is debt, Jeff. It's debt. And that's why they need taxes to collect it. So that's why I think bigger. That's my message today. And that's what Rich Dad's World stands for. Think bigger. Don't just think about real estate. Don't think about a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. It's about what is money today.
Hi, folks. Rich Bontrager for the Rich Dad team. And let me tell you, I couldn't be more thrilled about the landslide win. Donald Trump is back in office, and we've got both the House and the Senate in our corner. That's huge. But let's get real for a second. While the victory is sweet, the challenges we face as a nation are nothing short than monumental. We've just come out of 4 years of economic chaos. Think about it. The dollar has lost value. Inflation runs rampant. Interest rates are through the roof. Our national debt is out of control, and wars rage around the globe. Donald Trump has inherited an economy that's a total mess, and the burden to rebuild it is immense. Now, let's be honest, this isn't going to get fixed overnight. And even as we work to restore order, the cost of rebuilding will be steep. Printing more money to address the issues, ongoing assaults from BRICS nations on the dollar, and even climbing national debts are massive concerns. Here's the deal. Your savings aren't in the clear. They're vulnerable to these uncertainties. And let me tell you, gambling with your wealth right now is not an option. In these last few years, that taught us anything that we need to take action, proactive steps to protect what we've worked so hard to earn. That's why Rich Dad is partnering with Allegiance Gold, a company that we trust to protect your financial future. Gold and silver are timeless ways to hedge against economic chaos. They're not just investments, they're peace of mind for your wealth. Here's the kicker. When you start your investment with Allegiance Gold today, you'll even get free silver as part of their exclusive offer. Just mention Robert sent you, and they'll take great care of you. Folks, now is not the time to sit on the sidelines. Act today. Secure your wealth. Go to protectwithrobert.com or call 844-3-ROBERT. That's 844-376-2378. And let them help you get started today.
In 1971, it became debt and taxes. And so that's why when Dave Ramsey says get out of debt, that's good advice for most people. When Tony Robbins says buy ETFs, that's good for most people because they can't think. They don't have the brain power to think. And to do that really takes financial education. So please study the bigger picture. Get out of the small, dinky little mini pictures. And then you can decide. Okay, so Kim and I are always looking at least I am. I'm always looking at new assets to create. But once we have the assets, then we use the debt to buy real estate, and we pay no taxes. And because we pay no taxes, Jeff, we buy all the gold, silver, and crypto we want. That's capitalism. Okay, and so you guys are going against the centralized banks, so be very careful. That's all I'm saying.
So if I understand what Jeff, what you're saying is that and Robert, so being decentralized, basically if crypto were to go the way it goes without the interference of government and all, it could be its own. There's no allegiance to any country, any government. Is that correct?
It's already going that way. I mean, you can do a lot already on chain. And this is really strange because a lot of people don't even realize there's all these applications that had tons of billions of dollars of value being transacted on chain. And there is nothing, it has nothing to do with any government or country. It is completely independent. And yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually. I just wish I could talk about it more, but I'll just stop there.
And then no, that's the mistake you're making. You think it doesn't affect anybody. They'll come after you if you piss enough people off.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly why we're seeing the news, right? We're seeing China go against cryptocurrencies as they're trying to launch their digital yuan. They're trying to get ahead of the trend, right? And then America doesn't even know what to do, right? They have no idea how to handle the situation either. And we're seeing countries starting to pilot their own digital currencies. But in a sense, it's still a centralized currency. It's not really going to make a difference of what's happening in the decentralized world. And I think there will be a moment in time where there is a coexisting of the decentralized world and the centralized world, but no one knows how that looks. There's no policy, there's no set of rules that are going to connect the dots. It might end up disconnected, right? Forever. We don't know that yet.
So on the big picture, Robert and Russell, what in the big picture of real estate, the macro picture of real estate, what do you see coming down the road?
Yeah, so I think we've hit on a bunch of it today, but one of the most unique things that's happening, Jeff talked about, so not to get way in the weeds, but the tokenization of real estate, we're very involved with that. But I think big picture is this. Real estate never goes out of style. There's not going to be a technology that eliminates the need for human beings to sleep under a roof or want to have their own place. So real estate is strong in the fact that you can get loans against it and get great tax benefits. That's the big picture. Every additional dollar that gets printed has to end up somewhere, and a bunch of it will end up in real estate, not just today, but the rent that settles every month. That's a transaction that happens month after month after month, and it's durable. And so big picture is people need, want, and desire real estate. It has intrinsic value that you interact with, unlike an ounce of gold, which I love, but I can't eat it. I can't do much with it. Cryptocurrency, which is amazing, but it has no utility other than the single utility it has. And so real estate, you can live in it, you can rent it out, you can enjoy it. Going to be here forever because real estate is the world.
Thank you. Russell.
I think real estate, I agree with Robert. Obviously, real estate serves an essential human need. And to me, when everything is falling apart, you have to focus on what's real and what's essential. So I like food, I like energy, I like real estate, housing in particular, affordable housing in particular, because I do think people will become poorer in real terms and they're going to need affordable places to live. So right now, as an investor, I think just making good investments and making sure that you're financially free, financially educated, but have an underpinning of great appreciation for the power of liberty. I think we've covered the importance of debt in an inflationary economy. There is no other vehicle that is better than real estate for acquiring debt and getting the efforts of others, income and tax breaks to service that debt. Well, you let the banks do what they're going to do, which is debauch the currency. Precious metals, and I would agree, crypto. I can't say I'm as far down the path, but at any rate, I think people talk about inflation or deflation. I think we're going to have living standard deflation, as I mentioned earlier, but I think we'll have nominal inflation. So I'm not convinced prices are going to crash because of lack of demand.
So that's why I said they're going to print money, but it's only short term. It only affects those with financial education. That's why we have Rich Dad's World. The people who are still having jobs, they're going to get screwed. The working class is going to get screwed again because it's going to go to deflation again. Every time they print money, it ultimately leads to deflation for the working class. It's called that they have to work harder. And that's causing civil unrest. That's my concern.
So we could go on and on and on. We're all about financial education and what you can do today. And that's the message here is what can you do today? And
I just want to say, we want to think bigger. Everyone keeps talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the version 1 of the blockchains, and version 2, which is like Ethereum and all these other ones coming up now that are actually spinning up, is happening now. And then version 3 is like actually in development right now. You can actually invest in buying the version 3 blockchains that are coming up soon. So just like Robert's saying, think bigger. It's not, Bitcoin is a very, very small piece of the puzzle. But there's a lot of things happening in the space. And I want to say think bigger in the technology sense, not in the macro sense. Just want to make that clear.
I studied with Jeff because you guys are the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can also screw it up.
Hey, I'm the young guy in the room this time, telling you guys what's going on.
But like you said, to me, it's so complicated and it's moving so fast and that's why we brought Jeff in as a resource and a great teacher, a real teacher and a great mentor. So highly recommend the newsletter. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
I think big picture is everything's going to change. That's the only constant is change. And so the key to navigate change, which is uncomfortable for people, is to stay and get educated. We've hit that a lot, but the best investment you can make isn't gold, silver, Bitcoin, or real estate. The best investment you can make is in your own financial education. That's an investment that will serve you for days and weeks and decades to come.
Thank you, Robert. Mr. Gray.
Your education is a lot more than just attending classes and reading books, but it's the people you hang out with and the willingness to engage in conversations with people smarter than you. So please go for that. Put yourself in those rooms, open your mouth, ask questions, listen carefully, strive to understand, and little by little, your education will grow. You'll never conquer it. I'm continuing to learn. I read today, but I'm always looking to do that. And I think that it's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
I've said it, you have to know micro, macro. And when you print money today, the only people that get rich are the rich. The idiots get poor because it'll boom, but inflation of life gets more expensive for the working class. That's the tragedy of idiots going to school being taught by poor people like my poor dad. It's really, really sad what's happening in the world. It is education. We wonder why we have problems. It's an education. So you can sit there and be told what to do, which is invest in a 401k, which I would never do, but maybe you should. And some people say, get out of debt. Well, you should, but I like debt. But don't do it without education. Some people like paying taxes. The average small business owner is being crushed by taxes today. They're just being crushed. They can't, more regulations, they're raising what they can. We got workers today, and they're going to raise taxes on them. And they work harder like idiots when they could go and learn from Rich Dad's world, get the macro picture and make better decisions. That's really my point of view. It's been our point of view for all these years, right, Kim? That's it.
It has. I mean, that's what the Rich Dad Company is all about. That's what the real estate guys are about. That's what Jeff Wang is about. It's all about financial education. And one of the things that I'm learning as I listen is to really have to keep an open mind, because sometimes people will say something and I'll want to defend it or I'll want to fight against it. But I got to keep an open mind. And as Robert talks about, there's three sides to the coin. There's head, there's tails, and there's the side. So I want to keep staying on the side. And one other way that Robert and I learn is for example, learning about cryptocurrency, you study it, but once you put a little money down and you buy a piece of a coin, then my education accelerates. And Robert and I have done this with many different types of assets as we learn about it, but you really got to get in the game. You got to take some action and you got to buy something, because shoot, if I put $100 into some investment, my interest is going to go through the roof. I don't want to lose the money. I want to learn about it. I want to get as much as I can out of it. So I always recommend, get in the game, even just start small, but get in the game.
And stay in touch with Jeff, because if you guys piss off everybody else, it's good. You got to make me a very rich man, because we'll go to hyperinflation. And hyperinflation will make gold, real estate, silver, and especially bullets more valuable.
There's nothing more important today than your own financial education, with the world changing so rapidly, and we're all working hard for our money, and we want to learn how to make the most of our money and grow our money, not blindly turn it over to somebody or pay a lot of taxes and all of that. So thank you for watching. Appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.